Good evening, class. This lecture is going to cover Microsoft Office Access Module 12, creating database reports. During this module, our objectives will be learning how to create a report using the report wizard, how to view a report, how to modify a report, how to add a field to a report. We're going to talk about how to apply conditional formatting to a report, add summary information to a report, and then lastly create mailing labels. Okay, so we talked about in the previous lecture how the reporting module in Microsoft Access can be a little difficult to work with. Depending on the type of report, I would probably recommend using Microsoft Excel. If it's just strictly a data-driven report, there's no particular formatting needed that you can only achieve by using Microsoft Access, which would probably be a rare occasion. But we're going to go through this module, talk about how to create reports in Access, and we'll get to that right now. So first off, a report is a summary of database information designed specifically for printing. Database objects like forms and tables and query outputs, those can be printed. They're typically not in a format that is very transferable. It's more of a screenshot type of view of whichever Microsoft Access object that you're trying to print. So a report is an addition made to Microsoft Access that allows you to put the data in a printable format. The report data can be from one database object or from multiple database objects. We talked about that with combining queries or creating a query that access more than one table. So you can pull different data fields from more than one table to put into one query. And one way to create a report is by using Report Wizard, which I highly recommend. That automatically creates a report based on the settings that you specified. It just walks you through the steps to create a report. And quite frankly, I recommend using all of the Access wizards that are available to you for tables, for queries, for forms, and for reports. You can use those to make creating those objects a little bit easier. And reports can be saved as objects in a database, obviously, because they're one of the 4 objects that we talk about in this course. And then reports, they consist of sections that contain specific information. What does that mean? We'll get into that a little bit later, that last bullet point. The sections that contain specific information, header, the body of the report, footer, things like that. All right. So when we view a report, Access offers several ways to view a report. You can view it in print preview. There's a report view that you can view that report in, design view and layout view. Each have their different or unique features that allow a different view. And given the situation or the circumstance, you may need one view over the other. So while we're on views, we're going to switch over to Microsoft Access. I've already got some reports created. We're going to use the houses report off of my houses database. Just a minute, it'll appear. Access is rendering the report now. Alright, so here's what a report looks like. And you can see some of the information is cut off. The zip codes are not aligned correctly. The price isn't formatted correctly. There's a lot of unused space between the price, baths, and bedrooms columns. So those are things that all have to be adjusted manually on a report. And to do that, we can go into Design View. But before we do that, we talked about Print Preview as a type of a view, and this is what our report would look like if we printed it, just like it appeared in Report View. We also have Layout View, which will appear in just a minute.
Alright, so here's Layout View. You have the ability to work with the layout of the report in this view, make some modifications. Lastly is design view. This gets more to the structure of the report. You can see the report header is here, the page header, the detail. This is going to be where your data resides. These are controls. These boxes that have the names of the fields in them, those are links to the data in the report. Then you have a page footer. If you'll notice, has a function that says now. That will display the date and time for right now. And then this function, as complicated as it looks, it merely applies the page number to the bottom of the screen or bottom of the page. So let's go back and look at, let's see here. We want to go to home, view, report view. You'll notice that page 1 of 1. So all of that syntax right here is used to create simply the text that says page 1 of 1. Okay? Alright, so those are the views. Seems like there was one more: print, report, view, design. No, I saw 4 views, so we covered those there. Alright, so let's move on to the next slide. Let's see, modify a report. So before we move into modifying a report, let's show you how to create a report. Creating a report is just like creating a query or a form. You always have to base it on either a table or a query. So for example, we used, let's see, I believe yesterday we used houses query 5 maybe. Okay, this looks familiar. So houses query 5. So we want to create a report based on this query. Okay, so to do that, we're going to go to the Create tab because we want to create something. We're going to go to the Reports group right here, and we're looking for the wizard. So there's Report Wizard. Now, we want to create our report based on the query houses query 5, and we want to include the address, the city, the state, the price, the bathrooms, the bedrooms, and we'll include the realtor ID. Okay, and then we'll include the mobile phone number of the realtor. Okay, so those are the fields that we want to include in our report. We're going to hit next. How do you want to view your data by houses? We've got that selected. We're going to go with the default there. Next, do we want to add any levels of grouping? So if we wanted to group houses together in the same city, we can do that. So we will group them by city, or we can simply not group them and leave them as is, one or the other. In this case, we'll leave it as is just for demonstration purposes. Go to the next file, or excuse me, next screen. We can also sort our records in any way we like, up to 4 fields, either ascending or descending order. So we're going to sort by price in descending order. Alright, and next. For the purposes of this course, we're going to always stick with, we're going to go with columnar layout in a portrait landscape. We're going to call this Houses 3 Summer 2017, and we're going to preview the report. Click Finish. Alright, so we're waiting on the report to be rendered, and here it is. So you can see here, this report has houses grouped together. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another page, 5, 6, 7, page 2 of 3, so we got one more page, and we've got our last page. So that's a report. Okay, so now that we've created a report, there's going to be an instance where we may want to modify that report. So let's flip back over to our PowerPoint presentation, and we'll talk about how to modify a report. So after you create a table, you might need to add more information or delete existing information. You can add rows to the top, bottom, or middle of a table, and you can add columns anywhere in a table. Use the commands on the Table Tools Layout tab to add or delete columns and rows. Okay. To add a field to a report, you can use the Layout view to add a field to a report. Open the field list and double-click the desired field. Fields are adjusted to the left side, notice that, of a report, so adjustments might be needed. to the other columns to place the new field where needed. A field is composed of two parts, the field label and its associated control. We'll get to that in just a second when we're looking at design view. And a control is an object that displays information in a report. Different controls are used for each data type. Alright, so we want to talk about adding a field to a report. So we are in print preview. We'll close print preview. Now we're in design view. If we need to alter the structure of the report in any way, we can do that here, or we can go to layout view. Now layout view, let's see, we can open the field list and double click the desired field. Alright, so layout design, we're looking for the field list, existing fields. Okay, so field list. So we could add the first name and the last name. Now what you'll notice here is it added the first name and last name up here. Didn't exactly follow the format of the way my report was created, which is again another thing about reports in Access. Typically they're kind of difficult to edit and deal with. So I'm going to take out the last name here. If it'll cooperate with me. Let's see, delete row. Alright, so now we also have the control. I'm going to delete that. Okay, alright, so we're back to where we were. Point of that is that once you have created a report, you can edit it, you can modify it to add other fields to it. So let's take a look at a report. Let's see, let's find a report that's in a different format. So here's a normal formatted report. In this report, let's go to layout view, go to add existing field. Here we've got the city, state, zip, price, baths, bedrooms. Let's add the realtor ID. So if we double click, you can see it's added. The realtor ID is added to the document. Now I can click and drag that column wherever I want to. You can see in that case I clicked and drug it in between the zip code and the price because there was spare room. I had the entire column selected. You can see the crosshair icon. You would click there and drag to your desired location. If I want to click and drag it to here, we could do that. Right here looks like a better fit, so we're going to leave it there. And that's how you would add a field to an existing report. Okay. Alright, let's see. We talked about let's see, a field is composed of two parts, a field label and its associated control. So let's take a look at that. So let's go to design view. So here, the page header, these are the labels. City, state, address, zip, realtor ID, price, baths, bedrooms. Those are the labels for the data or for the controls that fall in the details section. So these controls here represent a link to the data in the database. Okay, they link that data. They're linked to the data. So what this says is this is a label that says city, and underneath here is a control that links the data in the city column in the table to the report. Alright, now let's go back to home, go back to view report. Now, let's see, current slide. We finished that slide. So adding conditional formatting to a report. So you may remember in Microsoft Excel, you can apply a conditional formatting in an Access report to highlight key information. Conditional formatting is a way to draw attention to information that meets specific criteria. You can access the Conditional Formatting Rules Manager dialog box from the Report Layout Tools Format tab in Layout View. That's a mouthful. Alright, so what we're going to do here, so we're going to select the report. I'm going to go to, let's see here. Let's see what kind of tools that we can find. We go to Home. We said on the Rules Manager dialog box from the Report Layout Tools Format tab in the Layout view. So the first thing we have to do is be in Layout view. Alright, so Format tab, Conditional Formatting. Alright, so what we want to do here, Conditional Formatting. I'm going to click Conditional Formatting, and we're going to apply the rules for price. Okay, we're going to create a new rule that says check values in the current record use an expression. Let's see, field value is, format cells where the field value is greater than $200,000. And we're going to format that with a yellow background and make sure we've got black text selected. Okay. Now, let's see what happens. We go to Home, View. We should have, and we don't, so we're going to go back to Layout View, see if we can figure out where we went wrong. So, Format, Conditional Formatting, Price, Rule applied, and order shown. I wonder if I did. I don't think I applied that rule. So field value is greater than 200. Alright, so you can see here you have to make sure you follow every step. We want to take that automatic. Okay, now we're going to hit apply. Then okay, so now it worked. Alright, so you can see all the prices in the list that are greater than $200,000 are shaded yellow. So we know that all of those houses have a price of over $200,000. Makes it easy to quickly identify any houses that either are out of our price range or maybe that's in our price range. It just depends on what we want that formatting to highlight. Okay, so that's how you use conditional formatting, just like you would in Microsoft Excel. Alright, so adding summary information to a report. Summary information in a report displays statistics about one or more of the fields in a database. You can use something like a sum, average, count, minimum, or maximum in any numeric field. There are 5 summary calculations that you can use in your database reports, and you can add summary information while creating the report within the report wizard. Alright, so let's create another report, see what happens. We're going to base this off of the houses query from yesterday. Let's create a report. Wizard. Let's just take all the information for simplicity's sake. We want to buy houses. Next. We don't want any sort. We want it in descending order by price. Okay, I'm going to click next. We'll leave tabular this time and see what happens. We'll go to next. Let's see, then we're going to modify. Hang on, I may have missed a step here. No, okay. Go back to where we were. Modify the design. Click finish. Alright, so here's our report. And we want to go to Layout, Design, Totals. We go to Totals here. We can add Sum to the bottom right here. You can see the sum was added. If we wanted to add average, we could do that. There. Count the number of records, 7. So you can see the different values that we can add. The most expensive house is $250,140 or $145. The cheapest house is $87,000. So you get the idea. We're going to add the sum. That's the total. Or maybe we should just add the average. Tell you what, we're going to add account records. That way we know which records or how many records we have in our report. Alright, so a lot of different things you can do with summary information. Alright, creating mailing labels. Now some of you may say, why would I want to create mailing labels? So you do not have to print all reports. You can use a data in a database to create other forms of printed output such as labels or envelopes. Using the label wizard, you can create labels containing data from any fields in the database. Labels can be based on queries or tables. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to, let's see, I should have a report that is labels. So labels for houses. Okay, you can see this is what our labels are going to look like when we're done. But what we're going to do is create from the houses table, we're going to create some mailing labels. Now let's see. Now this may come in handy. Let's just say that our database is full of information excuse me, from let's just say prospective homeowners, or maybe someone who sold a house before, and you want to check up with them to see if there's anything else you can do. Maybe they have a family or friend, a family member or a friend who's selling a house, or maybe if it's been several years, they may be ready to move again. So we're going to create a mailing list out of the information in the houses table. So the first thing we're going to do is select the size label that we want to use. Now, most of you, if you have ever printed labels out on a regular printer, you're probably familiar with this. You simply enter in the manufacturer. In this case, we're going to select Avery. We're going to stick with the default label size, which is 1 1/4 inches by, that looks like 7 31/50 of an inch. Okay, which is a pretty good size label. We got that selected. We're going to go to next. We can select the font, how we want it to appear. We can select the font name or font type, which is Arial. Font size, which is 8. Font weight medium. Text color black. Now if you select bold, it's possible that your bold is so heavy that it may be difficult to read. So I want to be careful here. If you get your font size too big, it may not fit on the label. Okay, so we're going to kind of select the defaults there. Now, what would you like on your mailing label? We would like, and we're going to construct our label here. Notice when it says construct your label by choosing from the fields on the left. You may also type the text that you would like to see on every label right onto the prototype. So first, we always want to include a first name. I'm going to have to press space because this literally is going to look represented on the label just like we type it in here. We have to click last name. Alright, I'll press enter. Now we're going down to the address. Whoops, excuse me, going up to the address. Address, space, city, comma, space, state, and we'll press enter, and we'll put the zip code. Alright, so when we hit next, it'll take us to the next screen, which asks us which fields we want to sort by. So do we want to print our labels out in any particular order, and we can sort by that? For example, if you wanted to send, mailing, if you wanted to send letters to, I guess, previous customers who bought a house in a particular county or maybe another state, you wanted to mail those first because you knew it was going to take longer for the letters to get there, and you wanted everybody to get the letter at the same time. You might want to sort and print out your labels in that order so you can mail them out in that order. Something like that, or you can do it alphabetical order by name if you're just simply would prefer to track it that way. Okay, so we're not going to sort by anything here, but you have that option available. Going to click next. What name would we like for our report? We're going to stick with label houses 2. See the labels as they will look printed. Alright, so we're going to click finish, and this is what our labels would look like. Debbie Bacon, there's her information. Mailing address, Sam Chop, there's his. So you can see this is what our labels are going to look like, and it'll print it out on a label, on labels that you can peel off and stick to an envelope. Okay. All right, let's take a look. So that's mailing labels, and again, you just do that by selecting a table or query.
go into Create, click the Labels button, and that will launch the Labels wizard. Alright, and I believe that was our last slide, and it is. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and until next time, thank you.